Ladies and gentlemen, beloved students, dear colleagues, and viewers from any corner of the world who tuned online for this very special e-talk titled Role of Academia Making Students' Life Ready. A hearty welcome to all of you and good afternoon by the Bangladeshi Standard Time. So before we officially begin, I would like to give you a context to this special e-talk. Well, we all know one of the core responsibilities of the educational institutions is to get students ready for their bright future. And due to a lot of technological changes taking place in the recent years, universities have focused their attention to making students technologically savvy and job ready. But with this corona crisis, which is taking place, it has brought extensive changes in the lives of the students and in the future job market. So we strongly believe that the role of academia has also changed. And we think that universities need to provide a physically and mentally safe environment. We should also support them so that they can finish their education. And we should also offer them challenges so that they can cope up with any unforeseen situations like this in future. Keeping this view in mind, Daffodil International University, in collaboration with World Academy of Art and Science and Association of the Universities of Asia and the Pacific, has organized this special e-talk titled Role of Academia Making Students' Life Ready. And we hope to get to know from the experts their viewpoints on this very special topic. And we are honored and privileged to have a great panel of resource persons with us. And now I would like to introduce you to our esteemed panelists. We have with us Professor Alberto Zucconi, Chairman of the Board, World Academy of Art and Science. Dr. Pornchai Mongkhanvanith, President, Siam University, Thailand. Dr. Muhammad Sobur Khan, Founder and Chairman, Daffodil International University, Bangladesh. Second Vice President, AUAP. Dr. Andy Puska, Rector, Danubius University of Galati, Romania. And M. Chandrasekharan, Senior Project Manager, Social Science Research, the Mothers Service Society, India. Gentlemen, welcome on board.
Thank you.
Before we jump into the discussion, let me inform all of you that this program is going live in social media with the help of Campus TV. So we are requesting all the viewers to post your comments and questions there. We will definitely get back to you during the discussion. So I would like to start with Professor Alberto Zucconi. And Professor, if you think about this context, a student who is getting enrolled in university this year will retire from his job sometime in 2060 or 2065. And that is an unforeseen future. So what, according to you, beyond academic subjects, the other skills the students need to develop to cope up with that unforeseen future?
Thank you, and hi to everybody. I think that is a topic that is very important to give an effective answer now. But even if the COVID-19 had not struck, it would be very important
หญิงเอ
to
งตอน
understand
นี้ของหญิงดูได้หรือเปล่าของผม
social construction of reality
ผมเห็นมันมี
that is happening through education and so through
มันไม่มีอะไร
university.
ผิดปกติใช่ไหม
The goal of university that is offering effective learning has to be focused on being a safe place where people, faculty, students, everybody is encouraged and support to develop their own potentiality. So if the results of an education at the university level, or for that matter, even at kindergarten, elementary school, middle class school, it is not just to learn the topics of the various subject matter. That is a mechanicistic, reductionistic education that creates more problem than it solves. The preparation of each student is the preparation to become a citizen and have his life or her life in the world that is a fulfilling life at the personal and family level, but also for the community and nation. So it's very important that we fostering not only in this emergency, even now, this is underlined that the people develop their potentialities, their coping skills, and their resilience, and they are finishing at the point help to develop sustainable relationship with themselves, other, and the world at the personal and professional level.
Well, thank you, Professor Alberto Zucconi. He actually mentioned about developing coping skills and resilience so that students can become citizens of the country, of the nation, and ultimately of the world. This brings me to ask this question to Professor Dr. Pornchai Mongkhanvanit. Well, Thailand is working towards that goal. And apart from this coping skill and resilience, what do you think you are doing to prepare students for the 21st century?
What we are trying to do is that we have to realize the different in the environment and also the different in the generation of our student and also to other generations. And what we trying to do is that we try to reform our education to give more choice to the student. And the reason that we do that is because right now we don't really know what will be the future, especially after the pandemic. Everything changed quite fast. So the best way to do is that you try to give the student, firstly, instead of content, we try to focus more on the way that the student can find the knowledge. And secondly, since things can change very fast, we should have the curriculum that is more flexible. The student should have more choice to study. And we try to have the curriculum reform, trying to have the curriculum like a module that the student can choose across the school and college. And more than that, I think that we also trying to combine the good stuff like SDG and also our former king sufficiency economy philosophy to our student. I think that it, if we trying to make it this way, the student will be better prepared for the future. And also, I think that the future is something that we don't know. So we should give them the freedom to think and also the freedom to choose. So what this is what we're trying to do in our context. And also, I think that the faculty staff has to change quite a lot. The roles of faculty staff should be like a coach rather than teacher. The student choose the destination and the coach just trying to do our best to support them. But we should not dictate or inform the student what they should know. But the student choose their own destination and pathway. And if they need any support, we just give them the support. So we end up with different kind of education for each of the students. Thank you. มันไม่ได้ยินนะ I cannot hear you.
MC microphone on. MC microphone off.
Okay.
Is when our students pass from university and they apply for jobs in the industry tells us that they do not meet certain requirements. Now, my question to Dr. Mohammad Sobur Khan will be, what can academics do to prepare students for the industry, even when they're still studying?
Thank
Dr.
you very
Khan.
much. Thank you very much. As already Mr. Alberto is already mentioned that the students is need to consider as a citizen, and I'm sure that Dr. Pancha is also mentioned that only the contents will not give us the right direction. I think this is the time to cope up with the industry, because what industry need from student. I'm sure that this is the good time after the COVID and after the whole scenario, technological development, technological disruption, mindset of the industry, everything we understood due to cause of the COVID. So the whatever way the education system is going on, I'm sure that it is the right time for changing and to fit it for industry. If we consider the computer science and engineering department, if we consider the real estate department, if we consider the nutrition and food engineering department, I think considering the department, it is the time the student need to identify their respective industry, and teacher also need to bring the industry expert. Because earlier student have a mindset, okay, I completed my graduation, then I'll go to the job market. But now what happened? The whole scenario changing. We expected that we will be locked down in our home for a long time, and still we don't know how long it will be. Maybe it will be 1 year, maybe it will be 2 years, and maybe this COVID-19 will be carrying the long time. So that means our life, our timeline is also going to be shorter. So that is the one of the reason. I think there's a whole education system, the course curriculum, the teacher and industry, a lot of the people now, they must have to focus. Student before joining to the university, to selecting their course, they also need to think that what industry they will focus, how they will go to the industry. At the same time, teacher also need to make the bridging with the industry, because we know that last few years we are seeing that academician always they are keeping in their own comfort zone. They are saying always the out of the box, but usually the trend is that they are not usually like to come to the out of the box. So I'm sure that this is the time that the teacher is going to the industry, and maybe they can set their class also sometimes, maybe yearly 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, go to the right industry and to choose student for selecting their course and selecting their development, assignment, project, everything in respect of the industry. So what will be happen when student will going to learn or going to complete their education? I'm quite sure that they can realize that what is their capability, what is their strength, and which industry they can easily match while they will study with the university. And again, I must say that this is the right time that we need to change our mindset. The mindset of the academician, the mindset of the student, and the mindset of the industry. Because the industry also need to think, if they are not coming to the academician, if they are not coming to the university or the education institute, I think they will also lose their timeline, their spirit, their diversified of the product, marketing, and other value addition. So I must say that, yes, as Dr. Pancha is mentioned, that COVID-19 is really change our mindset, and we must think different way to cope up the industry with the academia.
Well, Dr. Khan, we can also cite examples from India where, we have seen examples like IIT, where the industries, they come to IIT to hire people. So I think the academia also needs to focus on, making that bridge, that connection, as you just mentioned, that teachers can work like a bridge. Um, I will now go for a question to Dr. Andy Puska, and I want to know from you that what is the one fundamental key for students to be life ready? And as a teacher, how does your role fit in to fulfill that fundamental key of that student, of any student?
I think students should be asked what they want. But first of all, we should ask ourselves what we want. So I feel like people wants to be happy, to work in a field they like, and not depending the place where they work or live with their families, to be connected like we are right now, and to be involved, to share the knowledges, and to have more things to do in researching about life and the world. So I think students, like all of us, want to be together, wants to be useful of something. And for example, this show, we are connected. I'm saluting our friends, leaders of our association, Professor Khan, Professor Pornchine. It's my pleasure to meet our colleagues from the World Association, Academy of Art, and from India. In Danubius, one of my first duty was to connect people online. 10 years ago, I started. And right now, I consider that we don't need a crisis, pandemic crisis like that one, to show we can do an online and on-site education in the same time. We have everything on the internet, in the cloud. We are using day by day our phones, tablets, computers. All the devices are already prepared to support the knowledge and the transfer of knowledge. But humans remain humans, need to be somehow face-to-face interacting. The energy
Yes,
should be
definitely.
deeply involved in this. So
So,
this is a good example of us for our students. Let's continue like this, and let's be grouped on the same field, on hybrid education, we are calling.
okay. Thank you, Dr. Puska. We have our viewers with us who posted some comments and interesting questions online. So we are going to take a few. We have a question from Badrunnesa Shuchi, who asked, how can we identify our main goals for our career considering the current pandemic? So I would like M. Chandrasekaran to answer to that question. How can we identify our goals for our career considering the current pandemic? Mr. M. Chandrasekaran, could you please address to that? Mr. M. Chandrasekaran, sir, you have to unmute yourself because we can't hear you. I think we lost M. Chandrasekaran, sir, for a while. So we will move on with that question. And maybe Professor Alberto Zucconi would like to address it. This is a student's question who is, I think, confused in this pandemic time and very worried about what's coming in future. So she asked, how can they fix a goal considering the pandemic situation where there are a lot of job cuts? How can it be, fixed?
I think that for me, my main question that would orient me to make a choice of career is very basic, and it would be for me and also for other people, because we have tons of research that show that it's important to have a fulfilling life. I don't say happy. Nobody's happy except a fun moment, but a life that has a purpose, that has a mean, and it's not having a job just to earn money to fulfill one in needs and his family. No, no. The point I would suggest, one ask, to be grounded on an existential, solid, compass is what I want to do of my life, well before what kind of profession. And in terms of the profession, I would ask myself, because this is the choice that unwittingly or not, everybody does. What do I want to be part of the problem, or do I want to be part of the solution? Problem of myself, others, and the world. In other words, wake up to the Anthropocene. We are behaving in a crazy way. We desperately, destroying the planet, literally. We are gonna need leaders, and so people from grassroots that make a contribution, no matter what career, but make a contribution in their own life, with their own family, with having a sustainable relationship and helping the society to see that actually we can be sustainable and we can be also meeting our needs. Actually, we can bring prosperity. And industry and business are going to have desperate needs of people that have a interrelated vision, intersectorial understanding, critical thinking, able to do every day something that is meaningful and is a contribution to not only sustainability, but prosperity for individual, family, economy, and also the business that employ them.
Yes, thank you for that great insight. I hope Badrunnesa Shuchi, who asked that question, got the answer. It's not really you have to target a career. And I will give example of our students during this pandemic. A lot of students actually started online businesses, providing catering services and other kind of short businesses to just help out other people stuck in their places, and some of the businesses proved successful. So what Professor Zucconi just said, that helping out, thinking about the community and thinking critically will definitely ensure your own career path rather than fixing a goal which is not flexible. So I can see Mr. M. Chandrasekaran is back here with us, and I hope now we will have another question from the audience, and he will be able to address that question. So another question that we have is asked by Fahim Faisal Ahmed, and he asked, in order to achieve our goal, what skills and characteristic changes we need to develop from our student life? Okay. So that is something which is which has been discussed a while ago, but I think M. Chandrasekaran can also address that question again. Skills and characteristic changes in students. Unfortunately, we have lost M. Chandrasekaran. So I would maybe I would go to Dr. Muhammad Sobur Khan, because Sobur Khan sir is famous for working with students very closely, and he values students' ideas and innovations. So Dr. Khan, could you answer Fahim's question about skill and characteristic changes?
Well, usually we must trust that every person has specific skill, as we believe that when God sent to us in this beautiful world, I think God is giving us some specific identification. Like if we consider our fingerprint, if you consider our structure, our DNA, everything is different all other people. That means everyone has some specific skill. So it is our responsibility to identify that what skill and what interest and what creativity will be appropriate for me. Because again, I should say that if I consider one specific subject like computer science and engineering or business, I'm sure that everyone is not for the banker, everyone is not for the marketing people, everyone is not for the HR people. So that means it is our responsibility to explore ourselves and to see that what skill we have, what skill we have. So on your own journey or on your educational pathway, if you can talk with your friend, if you try to find out your soft skill, if you cope up with your interest with the right industry, and if you check with your family also, your surrounding, your teacher, then you can easily identify yourself that which area will be fit for you. Considering that interest, I'm sure that you can choose your right path. Because again, I should say that as a human being, we have always good intention to do a lot of things. Maybe we have a lot of dream, but again, we must need to think that it is impossible to fill up all dream by any specific person. Rather, we should think that what skill and what knowledge we have. So that should be I'm sure that the perfect position or perfect thinking by any student.
Fahim asked about characteristic changes, and you sometimes give example about time management and other things that students can, employ in general. So, can you talk about some of the characteristic changes that you feel the students need now, as
No,
you
that
closely?
is what that is why I already mentioned that fingerprint. I give the example of the fingerprint. That means we need to think everything for a time frame, because we are coming to this world for a specific time. We cannot able to stay long time. I think some cases we do not know how long will we survive. So that is the one of the reason I should say the student must have to do their own SWOT analysis. As always, it's a common proverb, and then identifying his strength, identifying his opportunities, he can utilize his time and he can choose his right career.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sobur Khan. I would like to go back to Dr. Ponchai Monkanvanit. Well, Professor Zucconi also mentioned a while ago that thinking about the kind of leadership skill that a student has to employ for working towards the community and to become a better citizen. Well, you talked about reforms in education system, but what do you do for leadership skill development? Do you run any programs to cater to that need or requirement?
Yes, I think that for the skill development and for the leadership programs, I think that the best way is that we trying to have the, the student to have the experience to design their own future by using the techniques of design thinking. And I think that we also trying for the student to mix between art and science. And I think that we just have a new program that mix three disciplines together. That is that's communication arts, business administration, and also information technology. So that the student who study in this program, they know how to transform the business that they are working into to use more of the IT and know about how to communicate with the people. And I think that the leadership for the leadership among the students, we also trying to have the student to participate in many kinds of workshop. But right now in pandemic, it might be difficult. But somehow we also encourage the student to meet together in form of club and also this kind of student activity as well. So I think that the most important things about the leaders is the ability to listen to the others and the ability to accept the difference. So this is what we trying to make sure that our student has that kind of ability. Thank you.
Yes, Dr. Mankan Vanit, when I was listening to you, I was thinking of all the summer programs that our students participated in. And we had students from different corners of the world who came to Bangladesh and participated in those beautiful organized summer programs where cultural exchanges took place and students get to know each other well. That's one way that leadership could be developed. But unfortunately, due to the pandemic, all that kind of activities now are put to stop. Well, we hope that we will definitely have more face-to-face communication in the future. Now this takes me to Dr. Andy Puska, and I want to ask you, for students, what do you think could be the exciting or effective learning environment in this changed circumstances? We have seen news where in the United States, in Canada, a lot of schools are opening and things are not the same in the classroom. What can universities do after the pandemic to make learning environment exciting and or effective? Dr. Puska.
I'm unmuting myself. This is one good skill for the future. A good value is to be a good communicator. We have models. I think we should not focusing this pandemic, because in the world, there are many universities, some of them online, some of them only on campus, many of them hybrid. So we should use our day-by-day routine. Depending on age, on the psychical profile of each of us, we should make a mix kind of education. And education, it's about knowledge, about meeting people, about wanting to share with them, to meet them, to know what's around the world. And I think students want to use their devices, wants to stay on the grass or in a seat watching a model, a leader, because each of us, we are born as leaders, but if we are perfecting our skills, we will be a successful leader. I am listening my colleagues and I'm reading students' questions, and I hope this kind of communication, learning ways will enter in our routine, hoping that we can preserve our humankind common values, also trying to spend more quality time together, working on something practical, something in advance of our world. So we will overpass this crisis for sure. We should only keep some minimum rules, distancing, mask, hygiene, but we should see the opportunity of our present time, extracting what we did in the past for the world, in a global world, and project the future like human beings are made to be together. Thank you.
Well, yes, I do understand that coming face to face, working together, connecting physically, this has a different, charm that cannot be worked out in online. But definitely this online kind of communication gave us a great opportunity to meet all these leaders like you, and our students are getting this opportunity to meet you online. So there are pros and cons, and thank you very much, Dr. Puska, for pointing that out. We definitely hope, like you, that we overcome this situation. Well, we will take a few more questions from the our live broadcast from our colleagues and students, and we have a question from Manpreet Kaur. Um, she did not mention any particular panelist, but she just addressed the whole body. During this COVID situation, we are facing economic recession. Please address how can we boost students to join higher education, as many are facing crisis to pay tuition fees. That is something which is happening in Bangladesh as well. Many families are suffering from this recession, and so I think any of the panelists can address that question if you feel comfortable with that one. Dr. Mankanvanit?
Moment. In our situation, we also have to have the empathy on our student, trying to be flexible. Like in our university, I think that we have set up a fund to help the student with the tuition fees, and also to help the student with the living cost as well. And I think that last semester we also have the reduction of like 20 to 25% of the college fees. But I think that the most important thing is that we have to think that in this situation, the most important thing is to help each other. And I think that as a university, we also have the responsibility to our society, but more importantly, is to our students. So I think that my answer is just we try to have the flexibility, and then try to make sure that each of our students will not have the interruption of their education. But at the same time, as a university, we also have to have a lot of activities, and then also have to invest in many kind of things as well. So the best thing that I can respond is that we have to have the flexibility, and then try to make sure that each of our students can continue their education. And I think that after they graduate, then there will be a lot of positive thing to our society if we can help our students.
Thank you, Dr. Mankanvanit. But I would like to take that question to a different direction and ask Mr. Sobur Khan, knowing the fact that Daffodil also offered COVID scholarships to students last semester, and we know the university will continue doing it in this semester. My question to Dr. Khan will be, well, the university is also suffering from the recession, and we have seen foreign universities, they're suffering because a lot of foreign students who come from this part of the region, they're not going. And universities in our country, in India, in foreign countries, they're also suffering. So what's your survival technique?
Well, actually, we should consider it case to case, because every student are not facing in the same pattern. So what we take the initiative, we are forming various sorts of facility. We already assign our own teacher, so they should talk with each and every student, and if necessary, they should talk with the parents also. So identify their need, and definitely based on their need, we are trying to help them. Because again, I must say that whatever student we have, everyone are not facing in the same way. Even we also arrange some interest-free loan also, because few of the student maybe they will get some waiver or some scholarship or COVID waiver, but after the waiver also they may not able to sustain or to continue their education. So that is the and one of the reason we also take initiative to give them the interest-free loan. So these sorts of lot of initiative we are taking, and I hope that, as I already mentioned, we don't know how long it will be continued. So considering the scenario, it is my appeal that every student must need to sort out with their respective teacher. Definitely, there is a very vital part. I'm sure that the initiate or the solution should be coming through the teacher. As per our university perspective, I'm just telling this one. Thank you.
Okay, so that actually leads us to the same idea, more connection. Even we are not physically meeting, teachers trying to connect to students and getting the scenario and trying to reach out and help. So we'll take one more question from our Facebook Live. And one of our viewers, Shorna Zahan, wrote, I've got a question for Dr. Mohammad Sobur Khan. As you are an entrepreneur, if you had one piece of advice to someone who just started out, what would it be? Interesting. Dr. Khan again.
A very good question. So I'll suggest in one sentence, please, considering your skill or interest, you start it. Whatever happened, maybe you can fail, but please start it. If you fail, that is also success. If you fail again, that is also your success. So my suggestion is that if you really have the intention to become an entrepreneur, don't wait for a single moment. You will get insulted, you will criticize, you will fail, you will lose money. That does not matter, because the entrepreneur is really performing his or her success based on starting his or her operation. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I will go back to Professor Alberto Zucconi now. And as we are seeing you, watching you, we know you are all leaders in your own contexts. And our old education system actually created leaders like you. We have been talking about a lot of reforms in our education system. But what do you think? What can we retain from our former education system, which created leaders like you?
Well, I think in the social construction of citizenship and also of professional, there are several variables at work. And certainly education and individual professor or teacher are a strong aspect, but so is family, peers, culture, religion, and so forth. I think that I gain a lot of help experiencing very dysfunctional in Italy. I was schooled in Italy, and then I went to the United States. And in both countries, I experienced a lot of dysfunctional education, mechanicistic, reductionistic, ignorant professor that were faking their knowledge. So that taught me a lot, what I didn't want ever to become. Also, I was helped very much by professor that had enormous trust in us students, and even some I would remember for life that were mentoring us and helping us, first of all, feeling person, not students, under their rule and power. Second, I remember Professor Merlo was bringing us on his pocket money to see theater, which, for Italy, I'm born in 46 after the war, was a big thing. I never been a here before. So there were some role model that I never forget. You never forget role models that are teachers, but they are not at the university or a school. They are people that are, believing in you, respecting you, and to end up, what is my profound belief, sustained by 80 years of research. If a teacher wants to be an effective teacher, don't see nor behave as a teacher. Become a facilitator of learning. If you want to really facilitate learning, be a role model. Don't preach, just be. And be humble. Show that you don't know everything. Say, excuse me when you make mistake. And learn from your students. That is really how we can create a change and take this COVID-19 crisis as an opportunity to grow in a society that is more people-centered, and that helps people, everybody, to be more in peace and sustainable with herself, himself, to relate better to others and to relate better to the world, not only people, but every living creature. Our challenge is to really become sustainable in our heart, in our mind, in our daily life.
Yes, when I was listening to you, I remembered this talk, TED talk that I watched. It was given by a teacher who taught school children, and she gave an example of her colleague who said, "They don't pay me to like the children or love them." And this teacher said, "If you don't love the children, they don't learn." So teachers, as you mentioned, they have to trust the students. They have to believe in the students so that they can bring meaningful changes in their life. Thank you so much for that beautiful thought. We will have one more question for you, Professor Alberto Zucconi, and this is from Fahid Khan. I hope you can see it on the screen. He says, "This whole pandemic has affected us all, especially our goals have been shifted to another direction because of this situation. My question to you is, how can we overcome this massive problem and concentrate on our career again?" So, yes, this has been discussed before about the career, and I think you already answered to it, but can you just briefly, for Fahid, can you just briefly sum it up? Our students are concerned about the career, which is, I think, very normal.
I am concerned as well. Everybody should. And it's not something that can be done only as individual. We have to put our resource, our mind, our hearts, our knowledge, our skill, our resilience, and go towards the common goal, only creating a win-win situation. So everybody, every individual can do a lot, but there has to be that the local community, the group where I belong, the state. In Europe, for example, we have a massive, for the first time, investment in coming out of this crisis with resilience. Is the only way to unite forces, energy, creativity, leadership, money, and to understand that to address effectively this emergency is not a cost, like putting my energy or a community putting energy and money, a nation, a group of nations, is an investment. Is an investment for a sustainable future. And the danger as real we might have, not only if we fall ill from COVID, no future because we die, but as a planet, we risk in extinction, created by our own hand and craziness. So education, great, but also let's educate ourselves, by embracing my daily life and seeing that if I am in front of a tree, is a living organism, animal, and also a fellow human being. Only together we're gonna win this challenge. But I can do a lot and be in peace with all the different parts of myself. And be like the woman before, she was saying something nice, Victory, of to be an entrepreneur. let's be entrepreneur, not just for wealth of money. Let's be really ambitious. Let's want it to be rich also of human value, also of service to others, and that's also would bring financial
Um,
prosperity.
yes. Thank you, Professor Zucconi. Which actually, it actually reminds me that, well, young people are worried about this pandemic, and they are, looking at job cuts at major companies. But I'm sure that there are other jobs opening, entrepreneurship. People are, thinking about new solutions to all kinds of problems that are coming up. And I would ask our students to think more critically, more creatively, to address those real life problems and find solutions, and maybe, become entrepreneurs or offer a solution. So career will always be a concern, but I think there are ways that you can, avenues that you can explore and get your way out. So we have, I think, we will go to Dr. Puska with this last question. We have been talking about reform in education, and making students life ready in terms of leadership and everything. But as rector, what have you done in terms of testing and evaluation during this COVID time? Because you already said that you have done online courses and classes and education from 10 years ago. So I want to learn, it's my personal curiosity to judge learning during this COVID time. What standardized testing or evaluation have you adopted for your institution?
First of all, we should not promote fear. We should promote our wellness.
Yes.
In this manner, we should embrace technology. We should integrate any way of staying together online, and we should find ways to be together physically. In 10 years, we tested our students, and we are an international university, in order to evaluate each competencies. And we had some success treating differently each student, trying to treat each one as a unique person. And in our platform, any platform can be used. An intelligent, a smart one is better. We have resources, we have tools of communication, we have tools for evaluation of competencies, not only rigid, standardized, but flexible ways. Any professor can choose from the policy of the department which way is best for this group or this program. We have also a project of evaluating each type of course. And pandemia gave us a boost of energy, and this was and confirmed that this is the way. And we are not keeping count of the distance. It can be in Bangladesh, can be in Thailand, can be in America, can be in Europe, in Romania. We have these tools, we have internet. Practical activities, labs, seminars should be face-to-face, kept if it's possible. And also for the future, we should use more and more virtual libraries. We should keep sessions like our TV show, e-talks. And also we should think like knowing each other physically and build virtual community as prolonging, adding values on the online world. This is a type of thinking. Thanks.
Well, I definitely like when you said that we should not promote fear by, standardized testing. And, students actually get scared, especially when they're very stressed during this pandemic situation with family crisis and recession. Testing and evaluation is an extra burden to them. Well, this is all the time we had, and this actually brought us towards the end of today's e-talk. I would like to thank all the resource persons, our esteemed dignitaries who made time in their busy schedule to share their viewpoints on the topic, role of academia making students life ready. I would also like to thank our partners, WAS and AUAP, and our lovely audience in social media who have actively participated in the discussion. Thank you all very much. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the people who worked behind the screen to make this program possible. And definitely, I will call it a success. So thank you, all of you. And we will definitely see you with yet another mind-boggling topic for discussion in future. Till then, take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.